Hier ist die neue Folge der Ökonomie-Videos.
Do you remember 2021? It felt like the entire world just went crazy for NFTs. Digital art, virtual land. I mean, people were dropping millions of dollars on things that only existed on a computer screen. It really felt like a revolution was happening. And then, poof! Almost overnight, the whole thing just imploded. The boom went bust, and it left everybody asking one huge question. What on earth just happened? So today, we're going to unpack the incredible rise and the spectacular fall of the NFT bubble.
And that really brings us to the core question, doesn't it? Was this whole thing a genuine revolution in what it means to own something digitally? Or was it just another massive speculative bubble playing out for all of us to see in real time? To figure that out, we're going to need a framework.
Okay, so first things first. What even is a speculative bubble? Well, basically, it's when pure hype and emotion drive the price of something way, way beyond what it's actually fundamentally worth. Think of it like a huge party where everyone is having such a good time that nobody notices the floor is about to collapse. The tricky part is you usually don't realize you were in a bubble until after it's already popped.
But the good news is, economists have a model for this. We're going to use a classic 5-phase model as our guide. It gives us a really clear pattern to compare the NFT craze against, to see if it follows the same path that financial bubbles have taken for literally centuries.
So here's how it works. This is how a bubble builds up and then bursts. It always starts with a spark, some cool new technology that just captures everyone's imagination. Then comes the story, a really compelling narrative that starts pulling in the first wave of investors. This builds and builds into a full-blown frenzy, or euphoria, where prices just totally disconnect from reality. Then you hit the tipping point, which is when the smart money starts quietly cashing out. And finally, the crash. So, the question is, how well does the NFT story fit this pattern?
Let's do it! Let's actually map the NFT timeline directly onto this 5-phase model, and you might be a little surprised at just how perfectly it all lines up.
I mean, look at this. The pattern is pretty undeniable. The spark, that came way back in 2017 when NFTs were first invented. The story was then built up over the next few years by projects like CryptoPunks, which created this whole idea of digital scarcity. Then, bam, March 2021, the frenzy was kicked off by that insane Beeple art sale. But by the end of that same year, we'd already hit the tipping point. And by 2022, yeah, the market was in a full-blown crash.
Let's just zoom in on that frenzy for a second. This is the absolute heart of every bubble. It's that moment when rational investing gets thrown out the window and it's replaced by this cultural fear of missing out. Prices don't just go up, they become a phenomenon.
And this number says it all. $69 million. In March of 2021, a single piece of digital art by an artist named Beeple sold for a mind-bending $69 million. That one sale, at a famous auction house no less, was the lightning rod that kicked off the global mania.
And believe me, it was not a one-off. Just look at the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Owning one of their NFTs wasn't just about a picture of a monkey, it was like a digital key to this exclusive club, and that hype drove prices into the stratosphere. How high? Well, one single Bored Ape sold for $2 million. And right here, this is a huge red flag. You see, during the boom, the market stopped being about buying new art from creators. It became all about the secondary sales, people buying NFTs just to flip them to the next person for a quick profit. And when the main game is just selling to the next person in line, you know for a fact that speculation has completely taken over.
So the party was in full swing, but of course, it couldn't last forever. So why did the music stop? Well, the data really tells the story of how it all came crashing down.
Just look at 2021. The market was absolutely on fire. We saw this high, sustained number of active buyers, literally thousands of people jumping in, feeding that frenzy and pushing those prices higher and higher and higher.
And then, 2022 happened. Wow, the contrast is just stark. The number of active wallets completely fell off a cliff. The tipping point was passed, panic started to set in, and the buyers, they just vanished. The demand had completely evaporated.
So you have to wonder, what was really driving people to do this? Well, a Dexter Labs survey got right to the heart of it, and the results are stunning. Almost 2/3 of buyers straight up admitted their main reason for being there was to make a profit. Let that sink in. For the vast majority of people, this was never really about the art or the technology. It was a casino.
You know, on top of all that frenzy, the market had some really deep structural problems. For one, it got totally saturated. Everyone from celebrities to politicians, even Donald Trump with his digital trading cards, was trying to cash in, and it just flooded the market. At the same time, nobody could really answer the most important legal question. What do you actually own when you buy an NFT? And without that clarity, any claim of long-term value was basically built on sand. So, after tracing this entire life cycle of a digital bubble, all the way from that first spark to the final, painful crash, what's the big takeaway here? What do we actually learn from this whole roller coaster ride?
When you step back, the NFT story fits the historical pattern of a bubble perfectly. And it leaves us with this one big lingering question. From the dot-com boom to the crypto craze, it really seems like whenever a groundbreaking new technology creates a brand new market, our human psychology just takes over. So is it possible that this whole boom and bust cycle is just an inevitable part of innovation? Something to think about.